By the time I left the garden, much of the eastern sky was under the strange cloud. Kip whined at me and pulled against his leash. He was in a hurry to get home. There were people everywhere I looked when I entered the village, and always they stood studying the eastern sky, pointing and exclaiming excitedly to one another. They shook their heads and chattered nervously, but when they spotted me, they hurried away, giving me the path totally to myself. I was almost to our cabin when I heard children calling to one another. "Fire!" they screamed at one another. "Fire, come!" I looked to the east again, and the truth of the words hit me. Fire! Of course it was. Panic seized me. I had no first-hand knowledge about a forest fire, but if the little I had heard was true, we were all in mortal danger. I shoved Kip into the cabin and pulled the door shut behind him. Then, lifting my skirt, I headed for the trading post on the run. "Oh, dear God," I prayed, "if only Wynn were here, he'd know what to do." But Wynn wasn't in the village. As far as I knew, he was many miles to the west. He had left the day before on a trip that would take him 3 or 4 days. He'd carried plenty of provisions just in case he was held beyond that 3rd or 4th day. I knew that Wynn would not be home in time to tell us what to do. When I reached the store, the trader was already outside, surrounded by many nervous and chattering villagers. They all seemed to talk at once, and he tried to hush them and keep them under control, but I could tell that he was just as concerned as the rest of us. When he saw me, he nodded his head toward the door of his store, and I understood him to mean that he wished to speak to me privately. As soon as he broke away from the people, he came in. I met him at his counter, my agitation showing in my breathless question. "This is bad trouble?" My nervousness made my limited grasp of the Indian dialect all the more difficult, but I knew even without his answer that he thought it was serious. "Coming this way?" I asked next.
"It is,"
was all he said. "How much time?"
"Hard to say. If wind starts to blow, it could travel fast. If it rain,"
he shrugged. "Rain." I latched onto the word. Rain. Of course. Why hadn't I thought of that? God was using the fire to get everyone's attention before he sent the rain. I smiled and turned to Mr. Lameche. "Rain stop fire?" He looked at me with questioning eyes. I knew he must think me a little mad. He did answer me, though.
"Good rain, yes, if it comes soon."
"Good," I answered, and started to move around him and go out the door.
"Mrs. Delaney," he stopped me. "If rain does not come soon, very soon, then whole village be burned. We cannot stop forest fire. We have nothing to fight with. We can only run, or fry like chickens."
I stopped long enough to let his words sink in, then asked slowly, "Run where?"
"I do not know,"
he responded, and his shoulders sagged.